Today's video is all about builder incentives. I'm going to break down what each builder in Easton Park is currently offering, talk about what I think are the best builder incentives out there, and really just kind of talk about the negotiating side of real estate and what I've personally had success with in the past. We're going to get after it right now. Hey, Daniel here, local Easton Park real estate expert. If you're thinking making a move to the Easton Park neighborhood, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date on the latest real estate news. I typically post once a week on this channel, and it's ranging from market reports every month to best deals of the month, and then touring different homes. And I have a large backlog at this point, so definitely if you're new to the channel, I encourage you to kind of look through the playlists I have in here. You can see everything that's been available, all the price points, and then my personal opinions on the homes I tour. I was a teacher for 10 years before I jumped into real estate. I was actually a band director down the road at Aikens High School before I made the switch. And I found that a lot of the skills and values that drew me to education and made me a better educator for my students have served me really well in real estate for my clients. Honesty, hard work, effective communication, and truly caring about my clients and their goals is still really important to me. So it doesn't matter if you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days or even 9 months. I have quite a few clients who are doing to be built, and it takes sometimes that long to build the house. You can give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or schedule a Zoom call and get connected. We can have a Zoom chat. We can have just a chat on the phone. I'd love to get to know your situation, your goals for your next house, whether it's buying or selling or a combination of the two, and be your personal advisor through that. All of that contact info can be found in the description below. All right, let's get to the video. So a few caveats before we jump into talking about this. The first one I want to say is this is not rankings of builders in Easton Park. I've worked with every single builder in the neighborhood, and I don't have any beef with anyone. I think they all did a great job. I think my clients all got great deals for their specific situation. So that's number one. I am going to be kind of ranking. I'm mainly just talking about my views on the incentives, but I'm not trying to say this builder is better than this one, or you shouldn't buy this one because this one has better incentives. I'm purely just looking at the numbers that I see in front of me and thinking, okay, based on completely this and not negotiating whatsoever, this looks like the best incentive on paper, okay? The second thing I want to say is that these change constantly. So even from the time I'm recording this to posting it, most likely some of these numbers have changed already. A lot of builders will do it for like a month. It's a sales tactic where they say, hey, we're offering this incentive until the 31st, and then it's gone. They're going to offer something else or the same thing the next month, but they are trying to put pressure on you to make a decision, right? But they do change frequently. So I know Highland changes frequently. I know Brookfield changes quite frequently too. Perry, not so much. They usually don't change too much. But yeah, just be aware of that. These numbers are not set in stone. So if you watch this and it's August 31st and you're like, hey, I want to go with a builder and that guy on the internet told me you're offering this, they may not still offer that. So this is not me trying to promote any builder either. It's purely just when I reached out to sales reps, these are the numbers they gave me. Cool. So when we're talking about incentives, there's really three things that builders can offer. They can offer to get you a lower price, right? Or the top two they mainly offer are lower interest rates because rates are so high in the market right now. They understand that's what's going to get people to buy with them versus resale. And then the other thing is closing costs. Closing costs is that if you're a first-time homeowner and you're not sure what that means, the day you close on the home, it's not just the down payment on the loan, but there's things called closing costs, and that's lender fees, that's title fees, owner's title policy, just attorney fees, survey. There's a lot of extra little things, and so in this market, because it's a buyer's market, both new build and resale, I've had success with this. We can ask for concessions from the seller to pay towards our closing costs. And closing costs typically range from $7,000 to about $16,000 or so. It's usually in that range is what I've seen. But if you're buying the rate down, that is technically a closing cost because we're literally paying the lender to get us a lower rate. So something to think about there too. But let's jump into this and I'll kind of give you my opinions and some personal, what I've had success with these. So Brookfield. Okay, Brookfield has condos, courtyard homes, and single-family homes, 40 and 50-foot lot. For the condos and courtyard homes, you can't do to be built with them. Okay, it's purely inventory homes. They come out pretty early. I think they have inventory homes listed for sale that are going to be finished in 6 months. So you can still get in early with those, but you can't pick the lot or anything like that. With those, very simple, 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now, something to consider is it an FHA or is it a conventional, or is it both? Typically, conventional rates are going to be about 0.5% higher. That's because the terms within the loan are better than an FHA rate. So basically, if you have a low down payment, if you can only do 3.5%, FHA is the way you're going to go. If you can do 20% down or more, conventional is the way you're going to go with your interest rates. But just be aware, sometimes you'll see a sign that says 4.99% interest rate and then a star next to it. What does that star mean? Well, a lot of the time it means an FHA. But if you do conventional, then we are going to offer a 5.49% interest rate. Okay, that's pretty normal. Brookfield single family homes, they're offering that rate, but on the to be built side, they're offering something called flex cash. So flex cash is what it sounds like. It's flexible. You can use it how you want on one of those three or all of those three things I talked about, right? The price, closing costs, and the interest rate. And so with 50K flex, you can choose how you want to manipulate that. Now with to be built, you also have the design studio, right? So there's other things attached to that. You have the base price, you have the lot premium, you have the structural upgrades you want to do, and then you go to the design center and you choose, what are your countertops going to be, the materials, what's your flooring going to be, all of that. The 50K flex can be used inside the design studio as well. Okay, David Weekley, it gets a little confusing, but they offer a bunch of different ways for the mortgage to work for you. And so I kind of like that. And honestly, I think a lot of builders would offer this too. They're just not very upfront about it. You kind of have to ask those questions to the lender if they offer these things. David Weekley promotes these. So they do what's called a 2-1 buy down, 4.99%. What that means is first year you'll be at 2.99% interest rate. Second year will go up to 3.99%, and then the third year onward through until the 30th year will be 4.99% fixed. They're offering that for FHA. Again, they go up to 5.49 for conventional, but you can get the 2-1 buy down with those. That's better than just a straight up 4.99. If you're saving a little bit the first 2 years on your monthly mortgage payment, take it. That's great that they're offering the 2-1 buy down. I really like that. That 7/6 ARM, what that means is it's fixed for the first 7 years, and then every 6 months it adjusts to the market. So ARM stands for adjustable rate mortgage. This one, a lot of people are scared of, which I understand. It might just be because I work in real estate, but I quite like ARMs. If you can get a lower interest rate and you're just understanding, okay, in 7 years, this can and probably will go up. So I need to have a game plan of, can I afford if it goes up? What's the cap limit for it going up, right? Because it can't just go up from 4.99 to 7. There's going to be a limit to how much you can actually raise every 6 months. And then do I just want to focus on, well, I'll refinance in 7 years anyway? But I think there's some potentially good deals with getting an ARM. It just kind of depends on how you want to use the property and how involved you are in real estate and that side of it. This ARM's kind of weird because it's just another 4.99. So I thought, okay, why wouldn't I just go with a conventional if I could get it roughly the same and not have to refinance down the road? So kind of interesting there. With Newmark, 2-1 buy down, 4.99. To be built, they're not offering a lot of to be built right now. Last time I talked to them, they said we're out of lots and we're just focusing on selling the inventory right now. Like, okay, good to know. Newmark also, I will say, and every builder's different, right? They're very much, it depends on the specific property, what they're offering. And so if something's been sitting on market longer, then they're probably going to be offering everything. If something just came on market, they're going to offer the basic there. But the standard, what they're offering on it, pretty much everything is a 2-1 buy down, 4.99. Pacesetter, they're actually throwing in appliances. Now, this kind of leads me to another thing to discuss with real estate. Everything's negotiable. Everything is negotiable. So, for example, I have a Perry home right now under contract to be built. Typically on to be builts, you can't negotiate much. It's very much, this is the base price, this is that lot premium, these are the upgrades, and then you give up your negotiating power for choice. You're choosing your lot, the lot size, the backyard view. You're choosing the upgrades you want in the house. You're choosing your floor plan. So you gain a ton of choice, but you lose your negotiating power. Versus inventory, you can negotiate a lot more. I will say, I have a Perry house. We were able to negotiate the lot premium waived, and that lot premium was high. I think it was $50,000. Now, I think the reason they did that is because my clients are able to close in December, and a lot of builders, a lot of corporations want their Q4 to look strong. And so if you can close before the end of the year, they're more willing to make a deal. I think that was part of the reason there, but that's literally the only time I've had success with negotiating on a to be built, but it can be done. So just be aware of that. You know, I was talking about Pacesetters offering appliances. I also have a Brookfield courtyard home under contract right now, inventory, where we got all the appliances included, right? It was just something we asked for on top of the incentives they were offering, and they said yes. So be aware, you know, there's room depending on the builder and the specific property, and then the specific timeline too. Again, that's another one where my client is closing in December. And I do think that plays a little bit of a part in getting the builder to say yes to a little bit more aggressive negotiating. But Pacesetter, they're offering appliances, fridge, washer, dryer, blinds, 4.99% rate, and they're offering $10,000 towards closing costs, which will cover most, if not all, of your closing costs, which is great. They're offering that on both to be built inventory, which is fantastic. I love when builders do that. Highland, they're offering $25,000 rate buy down and $15K closing costs. So let's talk about that for a second. Rate buy down. How much does it cost to buy a rate down? Back of the napkin math. I'm not a lender, but I've spoken with lenders. I've asked, you know, how does this work? The basics of buying the loan down, or the rate down, excuse me, is it's 4% of the loan amount, not the purchase price, the loan amount equals getting that rate down by a percentage. So the market rate today, as of recording, for a 30-year conventional loan is around 6.75, pretty high. To get, let's say you buy a $500,000 home and you put $100,000 down, so you have $400,000 loan. That's your loan amount. 4% of that is $16,000. So it costs roughly $16,000 to get the interest rate from a 6.75 down to a 5.75. And then maybe another $16,000 to get it down from a 5.75 to a 4.75. Now, again, back of the napkin math, it's not going to be perfectly exactly like that. I'm sure it's exponential where it costs more to get the rate lower and lower and lower, but it's about that much. So when they're saying, Highland's saying we're offering 25K rate buy down, it really depends on how much loan you're taking out to see how effective that's going to be on getting your rate down. If you're doing a minimal down payment, you're buying a $600,000 home, that $25,000 rate buy down might only get you to, 0.75 lower than market rate, honestly. So just something to be aware of there. The bigger down payment you can do, the less loan, the more effective that rate buy down flex cash that builders offer, it helps. And then on their to be built, 40K flex and $15,000 towards closing costs. They're basically covering closing costs when it's 15K. Taylor Morrison, 2% closing costs and 1% rate buy down on their inventory. When I say 1%, roughly, down from that 6.75, you'll get about a 5.75. And then on the to be built, they're offering the same thing plus 45,000 flex, which is a ton of money on that. And then finally, Perry is the simplest one. Perry says we're offering 35K flex, or you can get a 5.49% rate. Again, everything's negotiable. I highly encourage you, if you are buying a Perry, negotiate a little bit more than that. But that is on the face fit, 35K flex, 5.49% rate. With the flex cash, you can use some of that to lower the purchase price. Builders don't like doing too much on that because it does, they say it affects the values for the houses around them. I don't know how much of that I believe, but there's some validity to that. But just be aware that you may get some pushback on like, hey, we're not going to allow you to use all of this money just to lower the price. We want you to use it elsewhere too. So be aware of that. And then at the bottom, I just put the best in my opinion. Again, not picking favorites. I love all the builders. If you're the sales rep, you're watching this, we're still cool. But just looking at these, I think Pacesetter and Highland on the inventory homes are offering the most. Now that being said, everything's negotiable, right? Like I literally have a courtyard home under contract and we got something more than a 4.99% interest rate. So be aware, this is purely just looking at these numbers. What they're offering on paper for their inventory homes is really nice. And it's really good to know if you're buying an inventory home and you know you live in the neighborhood, so you're staying here, to know what every other builder's offering, because you can somewhat use that to your advantage. Not so much on the two-wheel side, but on inventory, you can say, hey, I'm looking at a Highland home down the road. It's about the same price as yours, but they're offering $25K rate buy down and $15K closing costs. Can you match or beat that? And they may go, let me talk to my manager, and we get a deal going that way. So on paper, Pacesetter and Highland definitely stand out there. And then on the to-be-built, Taylor Morrison's been killing it on their incentives the past few months. They just came out with all new floor plans, like brand new for the whole company. And so with that rollout, they started offering really nice incentives on their to-be-builts because they didn't have any of the new homes to show people. And I think they're just now coming out with a few of them that are finished that people can actually tour. So I'm not sure how long that's going to last once the inventory is built up and people can actually go see the different floor plans instead of just relying on the virtual tour online. Those will probably come down, but I was impressed with theirs. Doing the 45K flex is already a ton of money in flex cash, but then 2% of your purchase price towards closing cost and buying your rate down. I think all of that put together is very impressive on the to-be-built side. Last thing I'll say on this, with the interest rates, most builders tie that to using their in-house lender. Now, I will say for me personally and all my clients, I have a great lender I work with. His name's Andrew Thurston. And I basically send everyone I talk to over to him just to have a chat with him because he said, hey, I'm probably not going to be able to beat the builder's rate, but I just want to be a source of knowledge for anyone who's interested. I always feel bad because I feel like I'm sending him more work and he's not getting paid for it, but he's happy with it. He just likes having conversations and helping people understand lending and what their options are. So be aware though, most of these, the builder is going to require you use their in-house lender in order to get some or all of these incentives. Thanks for taking the time to watch my video today. I really hope that was helpful and informative for y'all. If you are considering buying or selling in the Easton Park neighborhood, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can definitely stay up on all of the information there. It's constantly changing every month. It's been really interesting doing this channel for the past 2 years at this point for Easton Park, just seeing the changes, different builders coming in. Everything is changing quite a lot in real estate. It doesn't feel like it sometimes, but there's constant changes when you're looking at it every month like I'm doing. But if you are considering buying, definitely reach out to a realtor. If it's not me, someone you know, like, and trust. But make sure you're using someone that's going to help you understand the decisions you're having to make through that whole process. I think it's the most important thing with real estate. Please don't try to do it on your own. I'm the same way. When I first got into buying my first house, I thought I can figure everything out. Now I ended up just going directly into, well, let me get a license while I'm at it. But that's a whole other conversation of I had free time during COVID and could get a license in real estate. But I highly encourage you to speak with someone. Don't feel like you're having to talk with a salesman and they're going to be following up with you. If you reach out to me, I'm very laid back and I never want to bother anyone. So if you just want to have a conversation and not be sold on using my services, I'm happy to have a chat with you, have a text message thread, and help you any way I can. Until next time, hope to see you guys around the neighborhood.